Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a three-game late slate, night slate with featuring San Diego and Colorado, the Dodgers in Arizona, and Seattle and Cleveland. This slate is kind of interesting. There's really only three pitchers that you really want to utilize here. The other three are kind of lackluster. But before I get into that, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It really helps the channel a lot. I do have three core plays: Clayton Kershaw, Jake Cronenworth, and Trent Grisham. So let's go ahead and get into the pitchers themselves. Clayton Kershaw is obviously the best pitcher available on the slate. He has a good history, and he's dominated Arizona. He also gets a decent amount of strikeouts, which is definitely going to be nice on the slate. He is a near must play here simply because, I mean, he's going to be like 85% owned, I have to believe, on this slate. If you want to take a risk, the Arizona like trashes him, which I just don't see happening in this slate, but he has the opportunity there to be good, but you could take a risk and you could potentially win a GPP that way. But it's really risky. The second best pitcher is Logan Gilbert here for Seattle. Now he's going against Cleveland, and he hasn't been particularly great against Cleveland in the past, but he's a decent pitcher, and I think he's got some upside in this matchup. Plus, he should actually get a couple of strikeouts, a few strikeouts, more than two or three. He's the second best strikeout pitcher on this particular slate. And then we have a kind of a Hail Mary option with Michael Wacha for San Diego against Colorado. Now he is a pretty good pitcher, but he doesn't get a ton of strikeouts usually, and he's not going to get 25 or 30 fantasy points, but he might get in the 15 to 20, and he's a good option off of Gilbert if you want to hide away from Cleveland a little bit. But Colorado has hit the ball well in San Diego so far, so it's a little bit questionable. But at any rate, he's probably the third best pitcher on the slate behind Gilbert. And so you could really just put either one of those guys in that second pitching perspective. I would kind of avoid Savali, Bumgarner, and Urena. All three of them look like they're going to have really rough games against good teams. So with that said, let's get into the catchers that I like. And there's really only two to consider today. One of them being Will Smith, who's just been absolutely crushing the ball to start the season, and he's got a really good upside here. He's a home run hitter, and he has been really good against Arizona in the past, as you can see, 4 home runs. So I think he's in a really good spot here against Bumgarner, who he really hasn't had any trouble hitting against. And then the alternative to him and a cheap option is Cal Raleigh. Now he has home run potential as he's hit 28 home runs in his career, in his season, last season. So he's a boomer bust play. But if you need to save money here in order to get some other guys in, then that's the way to do it. Then we're going to first base, and obviously Freddie Freeman is a top tier option. He's obviously been hitting the ball extremely well in his last season and now this season, and I expect him to continue that here in a good, easy matchup for him. He's a top tier play, but he is super expensive. But you could also just go with Cronenworth, who can play first or second base, and he looks like he's in a pretty good spot in this matchup. I think he's viable here. He's absolutely dominated Colorado last season, and I expect him to continue to do that, and hopefully he can hit the ball a little bit better. A good alternative to Freeman, a cheap option, is Matt Carpenter. If he does play, he's got some home run potential in this game as well against subpar pitching. Then we're going to get a second base, and obviously Cronenworth is a top-tier option there. And we could also look at Colton Wong. I do think that Seattle has some upside here as well, and they have some guys that can hit home runs, and Colton Wong is a guy that I tend to like to roster in certain situations, and this is that kind of situation, and so he's a pretty good price point. If you want to put Cronenworth at first base, you can put Wong at second. A good kind of a Hail Mary option at second base is Vargas for the Dodgers. He started the season pretty good so far, and so I think he should be another guy to have as a good potential option in your lineup. It looks like he's actually, he's been getting walked a lot, so I think he has some upside here. Then at third base, obviously Manny Machado is a big time play. And obviously he's got a weak matchup against Urena, and I do like him quite a bit there. Max Muncy is another guy I like for the Dodgers. He has some upside in this matchup. He's been good against Arizona, despite not really hitting a whole bunch of home runs. He does hit the ball well against them, and that's a nice advantage. And then also Chris Taylor, he's another option. If he plays, he'd be somebody I would consider looking at in this matchup. Then we'll look at shortstop. And we're going to look at Xander Bogaerts here. He obviously has big time potential here in this matchup against Colorado. I look for him to be a great play on this slate. I also like Kim for San Diego as a good value option, as opposed if you want to save money here. He's got some good hitting potential in this matchup, and he's been pretty good against Colorado, and so I think he's a good matchup situation for him. Also, Miguel Rojas for the Dodgers also looks pretty interesting. Whichever one of him and Vargas draws a start potentially, or maybe both of them draw a start. You could put both guys in your lineup. They're definitely guys that I would take in consideration on the slate. And then the outfield, I have 5 guys basically to choose from. First of all, Trent Grisham, he is just way too cheap for his potential here. He's got good upside, and he's got a great matchup against Colorado, so I like him a lot right here. I also like Juan Soto to have a really good game against Urena, who has been pretty subpar, and so I look for him to be a really good option on the slate. And then I also like Mookie Betts for the Dodgers here against Bumgarner. I feel like Mookie is going to have a good game here. And then also JD Martinez, assuming he draws a start here, he should be a great option on the slate. He has been pretty good last season, and he should be able to play well in this game and have good upside as a top tier play. I would also look at Trayce Thompson as a value, kind of a Hail Mary value play. If you want to save more money in outfield with Grisham, he's somebody you could definitely take a look at. So with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.